Mike Gehring back with you again here today to talk about ants. Ants, little tiny ants. This one's one of my favorites because I take offense to it personally. And I'm sure you will too. Ants are little tiny creatures that have little bitty tiny brains, and yet they're smarter than most people. And and even if you think you're smarter than an ant, you're probably not smarter than an ant. And that's just the way things are. So we're going to talk about this. This actually comes from an old proverb. It's in the Bible, actually. Proverbs 6:6 is where you can find it. It says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, stores up its provisions at summer and gathers its food at harvest." Okay? And so this ant with his little tiny brain, it doesn't have anybody telling it what to do. It doesn't. And some people like that. They're like, nobody tells me what to do. And this ant doesn't have anybody telling it what to do. And it says no captain, no overseer, and no ruler. Those are the three areas of life. Captain is the professional side, overseer is the personal side, and ruler is the legal side, okay? Because we all live in a society, we're all individuals, and we all do stuff for a living. Nobody is telling this ant to do this. So you say, well, I'm smarter than an ant because I work. Okay, well, that's only half of how smart this ant is. And a lot of people miss this because we don't live in a very agricultural society today. But I said in the last video, I said nobody who is successful has only a single source of income. And you see that, I don't know if you're a Bible-believing kind of person, but whether you believe that the Bible is good or bad or ugly or whatever, it was written by people smarter than most of us. And that's just a fact. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and you can learn from it if you're into that whole learning from people smarter than you think. So this ant, it doesn't have anybody telling it what to do. It doesn't have any legal reason to do what it's doing. Nobody's pressuring it through force of law or rule of law. It doesn't have anybody, any parents, or anybody in their personal life telling it what to do, and it doesn't have. There's no boss telling it what to do. Regardless of the fact that nobody's telling this ant what to do, it does two things, and this is what a lot of people miss from this proverb. It stores up its provision in summer and gathers its food at harvest. Now, a lot of people, they read this and they miss those two things. Okay, they're like, well, I was talking about this. He's just saying the same thing over again. He's not saying the same thing over again. What would you gather during summer before the harvest comes in? What? Nothing. Another proverb in the same book, 10:5, I think it is, says a prudent son gathers during summer. What does he gather? The harvest isn't in yet. So there's two sides to this whole earning thing, and a lot of people miss that. There's the day-to-day stuff where you go to work, you get a paycheck, you come home, you pay your bills. That's what a lot of people are doing. And then there's the planting and harvesting side of things. And since we don't live in a very agricultural society, we miss that, right? The purpose of those two things is that there are things that you do that you work for day to day, and you should do that. Okay, you should definitely do that. You should have a good job, make your papers. Okay, there's a comedian that said that, I forget his name. Make your papers, boo. But there's another side to this that I think everybody in general misses, and that's the investment side, the planting and harvesting side, where you put something that's going to grow somewhere where it'll grow, and then it grows. And the reason that that's such a big deal is there is in our culture a phenomenon. We talked earlier in an earlier video, and I didn't get into this much, so this is a good point to bring it up. There's the language of money and ROI and investments and calculating your return on investment, and that's a very important thing. I said in an earlier video, you will never be able to work enough to get all the things that you want. You can't do it. There's only 168 hours in a week. I know. I've worked all of them. Not all in the same week. I've worked 129 in the same week. But you can't work that hard, okay? So you're going to have to put something somewhere where it'll grow, and then when it does grow and it gets mature, you harvest it. And that's the other thing that ants do that's really smart, okay, in this proverb. So, and the reason that that's so important is a lot of people, they go to work, they have a good job, and they think that's all they have to do to be successful, and it's not. I said in the last video, mitigating risk. They live in this fantasy land where, you know, they've had lots of good jobs, and this one sucks, and the last one sucked, and this one before that sucked, but, you know, they got a good job now, and they're going to keep it forever, like they've kept all the last jobs, you know. It doesn't work that way. So you gather during summer, you do your day job, and then you also put something where it grows, where it doesn't require your time and effort and energy, and when it matures, you harvest it. And the reason that that's so critical, and I want to make this point as clear as possible, is because there's two systems in this world. And one of them is the natural system, and one is man-made, okay? And the man-made system is a system of division. You get a return, a percentage. You invest 100% and you get less than 100% back, okay? But nothing in the natural world works that way. You don't plant a corn seed and get a corn seed back. You don't plant an acorn seed and get an acorn back. You don't plant a wheat seed and get a wheat seed back. Okay? And this is crucial because a lot of times business owners, they get into this thing where they get so focused on the man-made side of things that they miss the natural side of things. And the natural side of things is powerful. It's powerful. Instead of division and a percentage, it's multiplication and you know, multiplied percentages. Instead of division, it's multiplication. And the further you get away from the natural system, the harder it is for you to make money, because when you get an egg, if you hatch that egg, you get a chicken, and then you get lots of eggs. Okay? If you do an hour's worth of work, you get an hour's worth of money. If you do a week's worth of work, you get a week's worth of money. It doesn't keep coming back after it comes back the first time. All right? Even if you get commission on sales or something like that, it doesn't typically keep coming back after it comes back the first time. All right? And that's one of the crucial things about the fundamentals of living in this physical world, is that there's a better system than the man-made system. Don't just do the man-made system, do the natural system too, because there's a lot of money to be made in natural physical stuff. Okay, you plant 10 seeds, you get 10 plants, and they produce thousands of seeds. Okay, and multiplication is better than division. It just is. Even if that division comes back 10 times, if you got 10% 10 times, you're still back at 100%. You need 10% to come back more than 10 times for you to be ahead. But you only need to plant one seed to be ahead. Okay? And so when you invest, you need to invest in things that are going to produce a return. They're going to produce a consistent growing, preferably, return over time, and then they need to come back more than just, I gave $1,000, I got 10% of that, I got my $1,000 plus 10% back. You need to look at investments as needing to bring back more than what you invested. So if you invest $1,000 at 10%, that's not a very smart investment compared to one that brings $1,000 back at 10% so many times that it brings back your $1,000 plus. Does that make sense? So when you invest in a business, if you invest in $10,000 in a business, then it needs to bring back that $10,000 back for you to break even, and then it needs to bring back after that. And that's where a lot of people stop. They put in, oh, I got a good return on my money. How much did you get? I got 4%. Big deal. Okay. There's so much in this world that you can invest in. If you buy a $10,000 house, and you, let's say you put $5,000, you fix it up, now it's a $15,000 house, and you rent it out for $500. You need to rent it out for $500 long enough to get your $15,000 back, and then keep it rented out long enough for it to be worth the investment. A percentage investment is not as good as a multiplication. A division investment is not as good as a multiplication investment. You're probably going to start off operating over here, but you need to operate over here long enough that you realize that the people who are super successful in life don't do division. They do multiplication. All right, and I'm just a little bit over time this time, but I wanted you to see the difference between the type of investment. First of all, the difference between working day to day and getting those harvests. You need to do both for you to have growth. And in your investing side, you need to invest with such a long-term vision that you don't just get a percentage of your return, you get multiplication on your return. If you invest in a house, you need to invest in a house to where you can invest in the house and it brings back multiplied times what you invested in it for it to be a really good deal. Those deals are sometimes hard to find, but those are the deals that you want. And like I said, you make money when you buy. You don't make money when you sell. Whether it's real estate or stocks and bonds or whatever, you're looking for not just a percentage of what you invested. You're looking for multiplied times what you invested. And if you're smart and you pay good attention and you calculate investment, then you'll find those deals. So that's one. The next one, you don't know how to follow instructions. Everybody has to learn how to follow instructions. You may think you're great at following instructions because you can bake a cake or something else, but this is one of the quintessential elements to being successful in life, and we're going to talk about it on the next video. So I'll see you then.